In 2023, the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild went on strike. This was pretty significant to me because a lot of my peers going through college have been in the media space. It didn't really stand out to people who mostly consume Hollywood materials without really thinking about what goes on behind the scenes. But the significance of those strikes was the people who make the meaning, who describe the structures that we recognize as normal, were describing that now media has the same vulnerabilities as software. Some people said that literally, and those are mostly the software developers who have some connection to production in the Hollywood sense, which isn't that many people. And for the most part, we listened to the writers who worked on our favorite shows and some of the actors who described some dimensions of the reasons why we would support them specifically. It kind of seems. The next year, other unions had strikes related to the changes that were going on politically. Now, AI, more specifically Claude, it can perform the information work that a lot of people are doing. So the question of why we hire information workers is more salient. That's just where we are. Project 2025 was described online in 2022, and I became aware of it in 2023. Also in 2023, October 7th happened and changed the ways we can communicate about what is real. So, if traditionally in the US, Hollywood has been our major driver of entertainment and our GDP seemingly relies on Hollywood, now Netflix buying Warner Bros. Finalizes the relationship between what can happen with software influencing what can happen with what people understand. Fundamentally, if people understand the world because of the shows they watch, and now the shows they watch can be generated or extended just as a joke, as a meme, there are specific software vulnerabilities that we need to be mindful of. Throughout this year, I've been posting on the lore.land and Squashy accounts, making videos throughout the year to describe how I relate to time. TikTok has a feature that it doesn't recycle automatically. Sometimes the videos from a year ago come up, and I can post them as memories. So for the through 2026, I believe I don't need to make more content to describe that you can do this. Also, the concept of AI hinges on our ability to automate some dimension of our labor, but we still need to find meaning. We still need to share meaning with people. So while I've been making content, I've been meeting other people who also make content. Many of them don't want to, and being able to coordinate the people who don't want to make content is difficult because we don't really know where they are. Like if you regularly make videos that update us on what you're thinking about or what you're focused on, then we can kind of gauge what you're up to. Other times, when people go live, we can see that they're live on TikTok, and sometimes you can see other guests that you follow. But the reason why I would follow other creators is because they make similar content to the content that I make. Now I have more than 700 mutuals on TikTok, and I don't believe I need to make content through 2026 to describe that Project 2025 is intentional. Is it good? Not necessarily, but it is intentional and marks a transition that's being planned through 2030. These are the kinds of changes that a lot of the population hasn't really been paying attention to, partially because it's stressful. My major in college was learning and education studies with a concentration in applied learning science, and that's my brand. My brand is interacting with information and finding ways to embody the process of processing that information. So through 2025, while Project 2025 has been going on, I've been processing recent events, current events, and describing them, how I relate to them throughout the year. You might relate to the older content that's produced more because it doesn't integrate AI for the social reasons that people are going to feel incentivized to integrate AI. I'm not sure how TikTok as a platform is going to change over the next several years. So the relationships that I would recommend exploring are the relationships that you've formed thus far. And ideally, we would find more channels to share a relationship. And I think that's what TikTok group chat streaks are for. Recently, group chats got a streak pet feature, which makes it easier to describe something in common. Like we can see that when we share time in this channel, our streak pet grows over time. The group streak pet, the streak pet associated with group chats is corn, and I believe this is related to movies via popcorn. So when Netflix buys Warner Bros., which seems like it's going to happen, there are going to be a lot of media producers who feel a kind of way about relationship to canon. Meanwhile, many marginalized identities in the US haven't been represented in that canon so far. So as Netflix grows through this next chapter of their existence and groups form on TikTok and streak pets develop over time, we psychologically relate to the concept of corn, and we can associate our agricultural systems with social systems. New York has an increased emphasis on or increased focus on the concept of socialism, and we can look back at history to see how other nations have implemented socialism. I believe Venezuela has had socialist. I'll have to look that up. But if we are transitioning from something that is more techno-capitalism to techno-socialism, what does that mean for the ways that we communicate, and how do we share time? How do we share meaning across time? You can watch reruns of my old stuff. How do I relate to the old stuff that I see? I've already described relating to the content that I've recycled because I was producing from 2023 through 2024, and I did reflect on the 1 year, what is this, on this day feature. So when my content has resurfaced because TikTok did the on this day feature, I reflected on the things that I was doing last year and I tried to contextualize where I saw things changing based on the applied learning science that I studied at a research-oriented university. My research-oriented university was a land grant school, I don't know what the tense is there. My research-oriented university was a land grant school originally, I believe. So agriculture has been significant in the backdrop and the background of my mind for a while. I've been thinking about corn passively since 2012 because of the Morrow plots at the University of Illinois. The significance of this all is that the kinds of change that we're seeing are hard to share across generations. They're just going to be different focuses. And while our policymakers acknowledge that we want more people to enter the world, the way they say this is the way that this is expressed is through fear about the birth rate. But genuinely, when there aren't younger people, it's harder to find optimism that any communication you share with an adult is going to be productive. So if there is a way for younger people to find a place in the world, what is that? How is that going to happen? This is a video about meaning and a description of Project 2025 being something that didn't just happen in 2025 and the ways that we respond to modern events being significant for the ways that we navigate the world. We are allowed to focus on the people who we know only, but we're more than just the people we know. Our identities, our personalities are more than just the things we understand about our own identities and personalities. Not to be too patriotic, but what it means to be an American feels significant because the US has the largest immigration population in the world. So while we make policy decisions that seem like they're US centric, they do impact people. They do impact nations outside of just the US. The things that we do on a day-to-day basis from a small scale impact what other people believe is possible. So I do recommend spending 2 years on TikTok meeting people, making content, and finding others who do the same. Not everybody is going to have the ability to. Send me a DM if you want to hear what I believe is going to be necessary through 2026. I like the idea of going live, but I want to be mindful of the contributions that I make to the household. So I'm probably not going to go live until I can contribute to the household, at least with groceries. If someone can help out with that, I would really appreciate it. Cheers.